Hello, everybody, and hello to Lily. How are you, Lily?
Hi, I'm great. Wonderful to be with you today, Georgina.
Good. Thank you for coming. It's been quite a while since I've interviewed anybody in my group, but I couldn't resist having you on because, um, well, I mean, we'll get into the meat and potatoes of it in a minute,
Yeah.
but niching is really one of those things that people resist, and we'll talk about that in a sec. But I just know that a lot of my clients come to me and they're still kind of in this wishy-washy stage. And we'll get into it. I'm good. I'm jumping the gun. I'm jumping the gun. People, let me know if you are here. I want you to say hello, and I want you to smash the love button because I want more people to see this video because it's so super important. Lauren, hello. Let me know who's here. And please, as well, feel free to ask us questions as we go through this. And even if you're watching on the replay, feel free to ask some questions. You can tag me in it or tag Lily in it, and we'll come back and we'll help you as much as we can afterwards. But without further ado, I'll introduce to you Lily Rudolph. So I've kind of been following Lily around a little bit. She's a niching and personal brand coach. And I'd love you in a sec, Lily, just to take a second. Tell us a bit more about what that is and where you've come from to get to here. But the reason that I asked Lily in is because I've noticed there's a lot of people who've been kind of singing her praises about how they've finally, this is the words I hear, finally got clarity on who I serve, which is such a big deal, isn't it?
Yep.
So tell me a bit more about what it is that you do and how you got to this point in your career.
Okay, so I'm a niche and personal brand coach for female entrepreneurs, usually in the early phases of business. And I basically help you to clarify and articulate who you are, what you do, and for whom, in a way that magnetizes your dream clients, but just as importantly, allows you to be yourself. So
Fantastic.
I started my marketing journey many, many moons ago in corporate, and then I started a family, and corporate was never really my space from a cultural perspective.
Oh,
and
gosh.
those that have done corporate can appreciate that. And just, when I started my family, I took a step back and have meandered through different things, knowing that I wanted to serve others, to make a difference, and to be there for my family. And so eventually I got really honest, and I took some time to really just think, okay, what are my skills? What are my passions? And how can I best serve? And that's really when I got to today. I'm absolutely passionate about helping other business owners, particularly women, to really build businesses that they love and that serves them, but also that serves it's the greater good of society, really. I think that if we can build businesses we love, then we're happier, our children are happier. When women have got more financial prowess and power, then we make good choices. And I really, really believe that the work we do basically lifts everybody up. So taking my marketing experience and learning at uni and all of that kind of stuff with the innate skills that I believe I have from a coaching perspective, and loving, I love the difference you can make one-to-one with small business. So it was just so obvious once the penny dropped.
Yes.
That this just brings together what I'm passionate about, my values and my skills. And
Fantastic.
So here we are.
Fantastic. And what I'm actually kind of hearing about this is it kind of sounds like it took you a little while to discover what your own niche was as well.
Well, yes, it did. Not only a niche, but business.
Yeah,
Sometimes
yeah.
we're too close. And it's a journey. It really is a journey.
Ain't that the truth? Ain't that the truth? So first aha moment for you guys is Lily's a niching expert, and it took her a little while to work out that that's what she was amazing at. So have faith, guys. Have faith. You too can do it, whether you do it with Lily's help or, you go through a process or whatever. Hello, Eva. Hello, Suzanne. Lauren says, saying goodbye to corporate was so pivotal for me and me as well. Gosh, honestly, I would say personally, I am ruined for corporate life now. Absolutely ruined.
Yeah.
And you should have seen all the hearts that came up when you were saying about women having, you know, that access to that kind of that power and the effect it has on their children. And we're all about the ripple effect here. So,
Okay.
yeah, you're in good company.
I'm in the right spot.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, I'd love, just pop in the comments, everybody, if you've also left corporate and you're you know, you're super glad to see that you've turned it back on corporate. I want to know, and I suspect there's quite a few of us here. So let's dig in super quick. Back to basics. What is a niche? For those of us who are like super new to this whole online business thing, what's a niche?
So very simply put, a niche is a specific group of people that you are marketing to, that you want to work with, that you serve. So also to distinguish, it's the group of people in the niche. It's not what you do, because I find a lot of people struggle or don't quite understand the distinction. So if you're a bookkeeper, for example, that's what you do. That's not your niche. Your niche would be if you were a bookkeeper to female entrepreneurs, or a bookkeeper to medium-sized businesses of up to $2 million in revenue, for example.
Yeah, brilliant. And why is it that we need one? And we'll talk in a minute, because Lily and I have obviously, we've created these questions, and I know the next question I'm going to ask Lily is, why do we resist it so much? But let's talk about why we need a niche. Why is it just not enough to just be a bookkeeper?
Yeah.
Or a life coach, like the one I hear, a life coach.
Yeah.
I'm a life coach.
I think us all live our best lives, which is important, but vague.
Yes.
So this is the critical mass of having a niche, is that it's the pivotal foundation of your business and your marketing. So if you don't get super clear on who it is that you serve, then you can't provide the right messaging. You can't provide the right services and packaging. And you basically end up throwing things at the wall, trying to figure out what to say, but you lack the clarity in your business and in your communications, because you're a little bit trying to be everything to everyone. And that leads to vanilla. If you don't have a niche, you can't specifically call out the people that you are here to best serve. And in the same way, you don't repel or discount the people you're not here to serve. And sometimes that is almost as important for people to put people off, for lack of a better way of saying it, as much as it is to draw in your dream clients. Now, also having a niche, and I'd call them dream clients, because we all want to work with people we love. We all want to work with people that we can best serve, because Georgia, as you said before, we're all here for impact as well as income, and you can give the greatest impact with those people that need you most, that are most ready for you, and that you love the most.
Yeah, absolutely. And you're so right, that kind of the wishy-washy content and finding it very difficult to narrow down exactly on what it is that they're going through and what it is that they want on the other side as well, super importantly. And having that clarity of niche. I mean, gosh, because I like many of us, I suspect, took a while to narrow down, and probably I still could narrow down even further. But every time I narrow down, gosh, it gets easier. It gets easier and easier and easier. So why is it that we resist it?
Before we go to the resisting, just one more comment on that is that when we have niched, we enable ourselves to be shown as an expert in a particular topic. So we really can start to be the go-to for X. And then, we can do things like what happened today, is that I got this opportunity because you knew that I did the specific thing. Had I not niched on who I serve, had I not niched on what I best serve with, you would never know that this was a good fit for us. So it really does help you be known more for your genius and get your genius out, because as we said before, you're starting now to really get clear on what you should do and for whom and who you actually are.
Yeah. So if it's so good for us, Why do we resist it so much? I mean, so Lauren's got a question that's come through,
Yes.
which I'll bring in a
Okay.
bit later. But whilst Lily's talking about why we resist it so much, and I know because I also resisted it, I would love to know who finds niche, who knows they need to niche down further, but gets that kind of panicky feeling in their chest about it. Tell us, Lily, what's going on?
Oh, you're asking people to
Yeah.
respond, or you're asking me?
Yeah,
Yes,
no,
yes,
I want people to tell me in the chat who's still resisting going
Yes.
further, and I want you to tell us why we resist.
Okay.
Go.
So anyone? Okay. So while you sort of putting your hands up, I'm sure some of us are. Tell me which one of these, when we're done, really is the one that you think maybe you are guilty of. So particularly, I think in the beginning stages of business, one of the biggest things is we feel we're going to lose out on clients. And I'll mention the top 5 and then we can kind of dispel them, right? So it's basically, we think we're going to lose out on clients. We think there won't be enough clients for us to pick up. We want to help everybody because, you know, everybody needs us. And if you're not brand new, but a little bit further down the track, sometimes you feel that you can't, you've been working with a certain amount of type of people, so you can't now suddenly change. And on the back of that is some people are frightened that if they niche, they have to do that for the rest of their business career. So those two kind of come together. Both are not true. And then some people just think it's going to be hellishly boring to just work with one type of person.
So
Right.
interesting. Oh, so we've got, I just want to help everyone.
Yes.
Yes, I want to please everyone.
Yeah.
Melina says she loves niching. She just finds it hard to write one. Suzanne says, when do you stop? Which we'll talk about in a bit. But yeah, there's a lot of us, because, you know, we're all heart-centered women, and we, you know, we love to help. And that is the panic, isn't it? Like, well, we could help everyone, but why shouldn't we? Yeah.
So if we go through that, you're losing out on clients. So there's so many clients out there, and this kind of goes together with not enough clients, because if you try and be everything to everyone, then, as we said before, you stay vanilla and you don't give yourself an opportunity to really stand out for the people who are looking for you. So arguably, you're going to be helping less people because they don't see you and they don't know you're the person for me, because you've told them exactly who you serve and how you serve them. So you could potentially lose out on more clients by not niching than by actually niching. Yeah. We've also got not enough clients. Now, we are very fortunate, I think, in today's age with things like Facebook. So the world is your oyster. So you can now reach billions, literally, of people out there. So there are always enough. And we'll go through some examples later when we talk a little bit more about how big or how small a niche can be. And, you know, we want to help everybody, but we're helping nobody. I think we kind of covered that. And you're going to be stuck in this forever. So you can always change your niche. And just like you as a person evolve, just like your offerings evolve through your business journey, so too can your niche. The thing is to do it, you know, to understand how it's evolved, and to just get, as you get to know your clients more intimately, you realize that the bulk of your clients have certain requirements, certain characteristics that make more sense. And then you can start talking to that as well. And then other people feel, oh my gosh, boring, same person every single day. And, you know, that's really not the case. So you've got your niche, which is your greater group of people. And then you've also got what you call an avatar, which in each niche, which is really kind of, you may have different people within that niche. So for example, as I said, niche and personal brand coach who works with female solopreneurs. A majority of my clients are in the early phases of business, but some people come to me because they're ready to pivot, because they realize they don't have that mojo anymore. They don't love their business anymore. And they're trying to work out what is the best thing for them to move forward, to regain, and to really get some more clarity. And, you know, if you're working with, for example, again, service-based businesses, like there's a million different people. We're all unique. We have common struggles, but every person is different. So I think that, you know, that journey of having to get bored with the same person, I really challenge that, because I don't think you can.
Yeah. And also I find that, you know, the kinds of people that you attract to you through the work and through the work and through the words, you know, like a lot of my clients have become really good friends of mine. Mm-hmm. And so how can I not love working with people that, you know, I want to go out and eat cheese with and have a glass of wine or a cup of tea with? Absolutely. So yeah, I completely agree. So we've got someone says, help more people by niching. I love it. Yeah, absolutely. You can help more people when you niche, not less.
Absolutely. So, you know, if we're really going to get through that resistance, I want to remind everybody that if you choose a niche, you get to work with people you love. You know exactly how to talk to them and how to serve them. Your sales become easier and more exciting because you're now coming from a really strong and passionate foundation of knowing exactly that you do believe you're the solution for them. It's a different energy. You get more skillful in your craft, in talking to your people, in your messaging, because as you get to know them more intimately, you learn more about them. And again, finally, you know, really a larger impact on the world, because you are really calling in those clients that need you the most and are the most ready to work with you.
Absolutely. I remember quite early on in my coaching hat. I remember quite early on in my coaching business, a coach I followed said, you can date a niche, you don't have to marry it.
Yeah.
And I really like that. Because it gives us all permission to try something out or be able to pivot after a while if we work out that, you know, we've changed. Yeah. We've changed as a business owner, perhaps, or the market's changed or whatever it is. Yeah. So
and I think that skill is something that we all need to cultivate. I know I've struggled with it a little bit, and that is the skill of curiosity. That we come to our businesses and we come to our marketing with the curiosity of what if we do this, or how will this work, those sorts of things. And as long as you know, if you're going to choose a niche for 6 months. You know, it's not, don't change every now and then. If you've got an offer, don't change, you know, but be curious to see, does it work? And if it doesn't quite work the way you want it to, it doesn't mean there's something wrong with you, and it doesn't mean nobody wants it. It just means maybe you need to just get more clarity on your niche and your message. So, you know, I know I've struggled with that. I think we all put a lot of pressure on ourselves in our businesses to get it right. Mm-hmm. So I really wanted to highlight what you just said. I just think it's so important for us to try to be curious and a little bit more fluid with that commitment. Sure. But it's not a life commitment.
Yeah, I agree. You know, oh, thanks, Dawn. You two are amazing, she says.
Oh, Dawn, love you, Dawn.
I think something important to add on to your 6 months comment is, I completely agree. And I'd add to that, like, go all in on the 6 months, right? Don't just kind of fanny around the edges. Just go all in on this particular niche for 6 months and really feel how it feels. See what the results are, but don't kind of dip your toe in. You have to go all in for the 6 months.
And I love also how you said feel how it feels, because I'm very much from building the business from the inside out and, you know, being aligned. And for that, we need to go, like, does this feel good, or are we calling in clients that we don't actually like?
Yeah.
Then, you know, you've got to change. Or are you getting people on board who are not your right audience? Then see what you need to tweak to you know, to keep getting the right people. Yeah. But yeah, no, so important.
Fantastic. So how, for all us resisty types out there, just a tiny bit, how can we, because obviously, you know, this is your paid work, and I'm so grateful that you've come to give us some, you know, juicy tidbits and strategies and stuff. So I don't want to take everything away from, from what you teach people, and there's no way we can cover it in, you know, half an hour anyway. But just a little bit about how can we start to overcome some of that resistance. We talked about just trying something out for 6 months, but how else?
Well, I think it's getting clarity. So when you're looking at a niche, it's feeling into yourself, who do you want to work with? And some of the questions that you can start asking yourself is, let me take a step back. So basically, from a sort of traditional marketing perspective, there's four main things that you're going to be looking at here. So demographics, which are things like, are they male, are they female, are they mothers, those sorts of things is important. Psychographics, and that are things like, what do they think, how do they feel, what type of what's keeping them up at night, those sorts of things. And then you've got their motivation for change. Now, this is so important, and I think it's something that gets overlooked as well, is that you want to be, you're a business owner, you want to be bringing in clients so that you can make an impact and make an income. So you need to work out where your clients are on their journey so that you can speak to that. So this is a marriage of your own skills and your dream clients, right? For example, if you are a Reiki healer, you need to make sure that your clients understand energy work, that they're open to the woo, and that they are now ready to do something about it. Like us as marketing experts, we might say, well, where in the business journey are our clients? What kind of skills do they already have? And what kind of skills do they need to have to work with us? So those are some of the things to think about. And again, in terms of the motivation for changes, are they actually ready to do something about it? Because sometimes we all have been guilty of this at some time or other in our lives. We're kind of still stuck in that victim stage, or we're stuck in that this is too hard stage, and we're looking for something, but we're not ready to do something.
Yeah.
And so if we look at all of those sorts of things, it's really sort of very high level, the kind of things to start asking yourself in terms of, who are these people, essentially?
Yeah, quite agree. And we talk about that a lot in my program as well. At what point on the journey are you meeting them? Because when I think of a couple of my clients now, so I have an emotional eating coach who's watching this video right now. An emotional eating person, potential client, they might have struggled with this problem for 20 years. At what point is she meeting them on the journey to say, right, enough's enough, I need to get some help today. Today is the day that I am changing the way that I do things. Or a parent with an anxious child, like how long, but exactly where on that journey is the trigger point where that parent goes from kind of either blasé or ignoring it or trying to figure it out by themselves to, no, I need help. Today is the day I'm going to get that help. And speaking to that empowered version of the client is so super important.
Definitely. And that's what I was going to add to. It's a marriage, right? So part of helping people to get ready to do something about it is by niching and talking to them and having them, and specifically speaking to the things that they've struggled with, the things they are struggling with, and the place they want to go, and you can get them to. And that is where the marriage of your messaging comes, with somebody who's on the edge of that. And very often, we buy confidence, we buy solutions, but if you can see that this person that you're talking to sees you and understands you and can show you that they can get to the dream, then that gets married with the space where that person's actually ready, that it can work for them.
Yeah. And side note to everybody that's watching, this is the importance of building up those long-term relationships and having that rapport and all of that kind of continued connection and communication with your audience, because they might be following you for 2 weeks or 2 years. I've had people following me for years, and then all of a sudden they're like, right, George, I'm ready now. But if I had given up because I thought my message wasn't reaching anybody, I would have missed out on that person. They would have gone somewhere else. So this is the importance of consistency I know it's such an overused word, but this is the importance of consistency and being able to show up and building that network and building that audience around you, is that when that person reaches that point on their own personal journey where they're like, I've had enough, I'm going to work with Lily, I'm going to work with George, I'm going to work with Suzanne, Melina, whoever, you're there for them when they are ready.
Very true.
Okay, so I've written on my questions, can a niche be too wide or too narrow? I think obviously it can be too wide, so we'll save a bit of time, and we know that niches can be too wide. How narrow of a niche is too narrow, would you say? Because I think that's probably part of the resistance, is people are like, is it too narrow?
So
are there enough people?
I'm not sure that I believe that you can be too narrow, particularly now that we can reach the whole world, right? So by really narrowing down, so for example, those days where you had the guy in the office who was, collecting Cabbage Patch dolls and maybe dressing them, everybody would have gone, bit weird. But now there's a forum for that somewhere. Promise, there is,
That's such a good point.
So things like that. So it's really, I don't think that you can narrow too down. It's reaching your audience, it's finding where they are and what they want to do. So again, if you look at maybe an exercise coach, so if somebody comes out and they help you to, even if they help women to get fit, okay, like that's lots of things. But what about if you are a coach, an exercise physiologist or coach or whatever you want to call yourself, who helps females postpartum whose stomach muscles have split after the birth of their child? Now that is very specific, but there's millions of people out in the world who've had that issue. And particularly now, again, as we can get online, as we can find the people in the world, you can become known for the person who helps with that. And that's online and offline in terms of your marketing. There's a lot of places you can go for that. But then if you know somebody who has a problem with the split stomach muscles and they really need to regain their strength to carry the baby, to hold themselves up, maybe they were, triathletes before, you ain't going to do that right now. And you can just really bring them back. So they know that you see them, you understand their problem, you have the solution, and it's a no-brainer.
Yeah, absolutely. And and again, if we take that example a tiny bit further, if you are that woman and you've got the diastasis recti or whatever it's called, the split stomach. I know, check me out.
Very medical.
I know. I don't even know if I said it right, but anyway,
all right. I don't think there's anyone here who can negate it.
Oh, there's definitely one person.
There is.
One person. Yeah. What was I going to say? Yes. So if you are that woman, if you had a choice of going to a PT that specializes in women, or a PT or a coach or whatever that specializes in bringing these stomach muscles back together, I know who I would choose.
Yep.
I want to go to the specialist because I want the thing to get done. And that's exactly what you said earlier on. I would have more confidence in that person. Yep.
And if you bring that,
would do the thing that I need them to do.
Exactly. And if you bring that down back to your messaging, your offers and those sorts of things, there is so much more specificity that you could bring to your marketing and to your business, and specificity sells. So, this is what you're talking about, your one thing. That's what you talk about. You come from lots of different angles, you show different things, and that is what becomes your zone of genius. That's how you're known for your zone of genius, and that is how you become a no-brainer.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, we've got one more question left, and then I'm going to ask, Lily's got a couple of really good goodies for you, which I'm going to put links to in the description and in the comments to help you do all this stuff. I'm going to ask Lily my last question, and then I'm going to quickly go through the chat because there's been a couple of comments come up that I think will tie in with this last question, Lily. So the last question I have is how do we pick a niche? How do we start to narrow it down? And the questions, I'll just read out some of the comments that come through. Jody says consistency is key. You're always planting seeds every time you post and every time you connect. Completely agree. She says she's come across clients who, for whatever reason, they're not ready for the work. She prefers to work with those who are, of course, absolutely. Melina says,
that comment is that you
Yeah.
call that out in your marketing. So talk
Yeah,
about things like,
absolutely.
if you're ready to, if now's the time to, that
Yeah.
will call those people in that are ready to make the shift. And if their answer is, oh no, I'm not ready, then they'll keep watching till they are.
They've self-selected themselves out. Absolutely. Melina's question is, how do you write one and nail it down precisely, which Lily will help us with and has a super goodie for you. Suzanne says, when do you stop niching, which might be part of this. And Lauren is a myotherapist and feminine embodiment coach. She says she's got some lovely men that she looks after. As email marketing and social messages get more specific, is there a way that I can include them too or acknowledge them somehow? So that's her question. So yeah, how do we narrow it down? How do we pick? How do we narrow it down? So I've just lost the last one. When do you stop?
Okay, so I think it was Lauren who was asking about the men. I think, Lauren, not knowing your business, I just wanted to say that if you predominantly work with women, then you can put your messaging to that. And this is one of the things that we haven't actually touched on, is that just because you're marketing to your particular thing does not mean you say no to somebody else who maybe is not in your exact niche that wants your help. As long as you as the business owner feel that you can help them and want to help them, you're not going to say, no, you don't fit on my niche piece of paper. You're going to say, for sure, welcome in. So it's a little hard to answer your question without some more details, and feel free to ping me later and we can discuss. But what you could do is, if you've already got a group that you are nurturing, that maybe they don't come to the same places where you're doing the other marketing and are quite different, you can, maybe send them specific emails that you've tweaked a little bit, or offers that you've tweaked a little bit, and keep it separate. But if you come out one day and you, I'm going to go back to the health coach. I'm not sure what your business is, but one day you're talking about women you're talking about teens and their eating habits. And the next day you're talking about postpartum women. And the third day you're talking about men and how you help them buff up. People get confused. They get confused as to who you are and what you do. And they might have thought you were the perfect person for them when you were talking about postpartum, but now you're talking about buffing men, and then they kind of go back. So it's a little bit difficult to give you a good answer without a little bit more information in terms of where you're at in your business. But please feel free to reach out and we can explore that a bit further.
The good news is Lauren's sending you lots of hearts and she says that helps. Thank you.
Oh, wonderful.
So that's good. I think one of the things that I teach in my program is I kind of liken this process to having a dartboard, and your ideal niche is the middle of the dartboard. And there are some people who might fall slightly outside that bullseye target, but that they're still on the dartboard. It's fine.
Yeah.
But you can still serve them.
Yeah, as long as
they'll come to you. Yeah,
exactly. As long as you feel aligned, and you never know who's going to resonate with your message, and you as a person. That's where the personal branding comes in. We buy from people we know, we like, we trust. I know you've all heard of that, but we've all got our quirks that make people feel safe, or that make people feel inspired. And so if they pick up on your energy and something like that and want to reach out to you, again, it's not black and white. As long as you feel that you can best serve them and want them in your business, you welcome them in. And if not, wonderful, you've had a conversation, and maybe you can refer them on to somebody else, which is also serving them.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So anything else that we need to know? Anything else that you've got written down in your notes, Lily, that we haven't covered yet?
No, I think that we've covered the basics. Niching should come from the inside out. That is the way that I believe, because, you know, as we've already discussed, it's taken us a long time to get here. We want to love what we do. We want to love who we serve. We want to know that we're serving the people that we can give them the most impact. So there are a lot of questions to ask yourself, which is why we need somebody to come in and help you get that clarity, which is why I actually did my dream client meditation, because there's a lot of client avatars out there that ask you about things like, you know, their smoothies, their favorite movie, those sorts of things. And that is only relevant if you're selling them something in Hollywood or if you're selling them drinks. It's not relevant if, you know, you're completely off that. So it's really asking the right questions, which I think we've covered a lot of those already. And that's where you can start to just feel into how you're feeling when you're working with your clients. Look at commonalities that you may not have looked at before. Is there a theme that you haven't noticed? So go back to your clients that you've already worked with and loved working with. And if you haven't loved working with, it's also good to have a theme there as well, so that you can start to repel those and continue to grow a business that really serves you and your best clients.
Yeah, I love it. Love it, love it, love it. I think just everybody pop in the chat, whether you're watching this live or on the replay, what's the biggest thing that you've taken away from Lily's expertise and her knowledge today? And I'd really love to know that. What's the biggest thing you've taken away? For me, I don't know whether you'd agree with this, Lily, or not. I feel like my work of niching is ongoing. So yeah. I feel like every year, every 6 months, I'll kind of reevaluate how I'm feeling about who I'm working with and the results I'm bringing in for people. And I start to exactly do what you said, is update my marketing and my messaging to repel the people who maybe are not implementing, and to bring more of those people in who are the action takers and all of that kind of thing. And I think it's okay, right, to be continually refining. I would say
refining. That's a beautiful word, and that's exactly right. Like everything else in our business, you know, do it once every 6 months, once a year, whatever your planning is. Give yourself a good time, and do exactly like the same way as you would, I suppose, look at how anything in your business is looking and feeling. Is, are you still working with the right people? Are you serving them well? As we said before, as we grow and evolve our businesses, then there'll be different things. You know, if you do one-to-one and then you want to do a program, that might change your niche because you've decided you're changing your business or your business model. It may not change your niche as well. You're just offering them something now that you've realized, because you got so intimate your niche, they really, really want and they really, really need. So that is sort of the benefit of it. And so just on that is a reminder, open yourself up to explore it, get your clarity, commit to it, minimum 6 months, a year would be great. And then continue to be curious and refine. It is better to refine, and that'll come only after you've committed to something, than to chop and change. Because if you keep chopping and changing, you are going back to square one every time you do that. And not just in terms of your visibility, but in terms of you as a business owner and a person. You're bringing yourself back to basics, or not even basics, to the starting point. And we all know the feeling of moving one step forward, 2 steps back. I mean, at least I hope we all know, because I've certainly felt, you know, and just allowing yourself that flexibility with not chopping and changing, unless, you know, you wake up one day and you're like, I have to burn the whole thing down and restart.
Yeah.
And
cool. So Melina says, great advice. Dawn says, create her messaging for that dream client 110% and keep with it for at least 6 months. Lauren said, oh, George, it was a kick up the butt hearing that, because I'm the worst with action taking. Oh, no, I don't think you are, Lauren, actually. From my experience, you're not the worst. Jodie's in the process of reevaluating and refining her niche. Lauren can better serve her dream client by getting more specific. So Harshi says, thank you so much. Laylee says, hi, Lily, loved hearing all of this. Definitely learning that refining my niche is essential, not just to attract the right clients, but also to help myself keep my joy.
Yes. Oh, I love that. Yes.
Harshi's biggest takeaway is the importance of niching and periodically assessing it. The control is with her to steer her business.
Yes.
Huge
amazing.
Applause. Fantastic.
Amazing.
So Lily has got her dream client meditation for you all. I'm going to put a link to it in the description, but if you're watching now and you want it, just put dream in the comments and we'll send that sign up link directly to you. In the meantime, Lily, if they want to get in contact with you, how can they do that?
So you could find me on Facebook, Lion Marketing, or Lily Rudolph, and simply DM me. I think those are probably the best places. Yeah. I've also got a Facebook group, but I would just, keep on the journey. I think it's wonderful. The Dream Client Meditation is a great place to start if you want to refine your, really get comfortable. It's an 8-minute thing, and it also has a workbook that really helps you to solidify that and start to articulate that. And if you're really impatient and you're ready to get going, we can sort this out for you literally in 90 minutes. So you can, DM me for that as well, and we can talk about that. Otherwise, Align Marketing or the Align Marketing Hub is also a great place to come into my world.
Fantastic. I'm off to download it straight away. Does Lily have a how to write a niche goodie? Yeah, that's the dream client.
That's a dream client. So if you go through I'll talk a little bit more. The Dream Client Meditation is basically an 8-minute meditation that just brings you into yourself and asks you a whole heap of questions to connect you to your own wants, needs, desires that you may not have acknowledged, and those of your dream clients. So it covers a lot of the questions we said and more. Then I encourage you to, come out of that and quickly journal things. And I've got incredible feedback for those that have actually done the meditation. And that is also why I've added the workbook, because the workbook will then help you to, there's less questions in the workbook, so it'll help you write it all down, narrow it down. And at the end, there's also something that will help you to now articulate, taking the pieces of the meditation and of the questions, so that you should be able to come out with your, kind of 30-second statement, or your statement of who you are, what you do, and for whom. So, it's a great place to start.
Brilliant. We've had a few people requesting that, so we'll send them the links.
Amazing.
To grab it. That we had you on, and I think one of us froze, but I just carried on talking. Technical glitches, I don't care. Thank you, Lily. I will speak to you in the DMs after.
Amazing. It was so wonderful to be here with you all, and thanks for watching, and thanks for having me.
Take care. Bye.
Bye.